Hi guys, thanks very much for joining me today. Now we're going to move on a little bit from the Industrial Revolution. We've looked at what it was, we've looked at some of the inventions, and we've also looked at how it changed the lives of people, particularly how children were affected by the Industrial Revolution. But today I want to look at why were people unhappy in the 19th century. So that's your title. I'd like you to put that in your notes and make sure you underline it. And the first thing I want you to do is I want you to think for a moment. Thinking back to the work you've done about life in the cotton mills, how do you think workers would have felt about those conditions in the cotton mills and factories of the 19th century? So press pause on the video and add 2 or 3 words which would describe how people felt. Now you might have come up with words such as sad, angry, worried. Generally people wouldn't have been happy in those conditions. So we're going to look at a wider picture today. We're going to look at more than just life in the cotton mills and factories. We're going to look at 4 key areas, and you can see those in front of you now. So we're going to look at social conditions. What was housing and healthcare like? How did people live? And what happened to them if they were ill? We're going to look at working conditions. How safe was it to be working in these factories? And how long were the hours of work? Now you've got a good idea about that one already. We're going to look at economic conditions. Now don't forget, economic, that means things connected with money. So how wealthy were people and how much were they paid? And then political conditions. Who could vote and did everyone have an equal say? Now to help us consider these factors, I've given you a table of evidence. Now you can see it in front of you now on the screen, but I'm also going to send it to you as a handout. If you can't print it, what you need to do later is go back to this part of the video and press pause so you can look at these key factors. But today, you'll be looking at the factors in the table and considering if they're social, work, economic, or political. So in your notes, you're going to need to create a table, and I've given you an example in front of you. Now at the moment, it's only got 2 blank rows. Your table's going to need more than that. So you're probably going to need a full page for this table. And to help you get going, I've started adding some of the points to the table you'll be creating. Now you can copy these down. These will help you get going. But there's a really important thing to notice here. Sometimes a point will support 2 of the columns. So if food prices are too high and many people cannot afford to feed their families, is an economic issue because people cannot afford something, but it's also a social issue. People cannot afford to feed their families. People will be going hungry. Now I want you to complete the rest of the table using the evidence that you've been given in the handout. You should press pause now on the video and complete that task before carrying on. Now we need to look at our assignment for today, and I want you to decide which factor do you think was the most significant reason people were unhappy in the 19th century. Now a tip, you really should be considering social, political, work or economic reasons. So use the table that you've created to help make your decision. Look at those columns. The column which has got the most evidence is probably the one which is the most significant reason. What I want you to do is to use point, evidence, explain in your paragraph. So use something out of that table as your evidence and explain why there's a reason for people to be unhappy. So there's your assignment for this week. Using the evidence that you've collected, explain to me which factor do you think was the most significant reason people were unhappy in the 19th century. As always, If you've got any questions or if you're unsure what to do, drop me a line or message me on Teams. Thanks very much.